Welcome to another episode of Ball at All Costs podcast. I said it last week, probably said it the week before, and the weeks before that, but I'm excited this week. In our midst, we have a almost current, just retired, former Premier League football player, scorer of over 130 odd league goals, maybe 150, and most impressively, somebody who's racked up over 20 million euros in transfer fees in a time where transfer fees really meant something. 5 million was a lot of money. So we have Dwight Gayle. Still is to everybody else, but in football world, not so much. Welcome, Dwight Gayle.
Thanks for having me, guys. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for joining us. And we have our esteemed panelist, as always, Deji Van Helsing, the bundler, aka the Genia. We're still working on that spelling. And we have OC, nice and easy. How are you doing, my brothers?
OC, can you go first?
I'm good, thanks. Excited for this one. A few questions to dig into.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going back over a decade, Dwight, and I'm still hurt by the infamous 3-3. When we were very close to getting a title, and he has to come through and do madness against us. So bittersweet. But actually, in the green room, I found out that you were a Man United fan, which actually just twists the knife that little bit more. Because I didn't actually have that information. So listen, I'll park that there. But aside from that, all good. My son played today. He's now central midfielder in his new team. Well, I say he's he's been playing central midfield. And listen, he played like Jude today. I can't lie. He played like Jude today. In the first half, a bit more perhaps Igor Biscan second half, but first half he pulled up like Jude. So listen, he's got a big future ahead of him. But I'll leave that there. But yeah, it was good. I'm good, thank you guys.
Big words. And before you go on, Dej, just for the listeners who haven't caught, OC supports Liverpool, right? And I'm going to give myself a yellow card if we don't mention clubs on here, but OC supports Liverpool, just to put that into context for anybody else or anybody who is struggling, right? Dwight scored a hat-trick against Liverpool when they were going for the title. It pains OC till this day. So he's I want to use the word abusing our guest, but he's upset with our guest. But you must get that a lot, Dwight. Sorry, Dej.
No problem at all. Delighted to be back in this space. My son played today as usual. Tough game, actually. Tough game. Ended in a 1-1 draw. But he got his first man of the match performance, and his district manager also came to watch the game, not just to see him, but to see some of the other boys with district. I'm hoping and guessing that he was he learned some stuff about the boys, but maybe even pleasantly surprised by the boys. So we'll take that and we'll go marching on. We've had a good start to the season. That ends the kind of year. I think we were expected not to do too well, but they've only lost 2 games so far out of 12, which is, I think, is good for a team that came up from Brazil last year and won the Festival Cup. So, we're hot on the heels of one of the best teams in the league, which is Ryan. And, our beloved has left the gaping hole at the back, to say the least. But, and there's, so delighted to be in this space. And Dwight, I said it to Dwight backstage, and I think he thought I was chatting rubbish, but I'm not chatting rubbish. There was a time where I thought, what we could do with you at Spurs, and I don't care if I get red carded today. I felt we needed you up top for Spurs. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I'm really excited, and I'm really, really looking forward to the pod as usual. So thank you.
Can I just say, Dej, you can't send for Ryan just because I'm not representing Ryan today. Dwight represents Ryan, so be careful, yeah? Don't you insult our guests as well. So don't know what's got into you two.
You know what? I since you've been gone, I felt like all hell was broken loose.
It's all good. Dwight, you probably don't know, but My boy got signed recently, so he left Ryan.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So, and he plays at the back, and the boys had a bad result today, so that's what Deji's alluding to.
He's saying you jump ship and that, yeah.
Yeah. So, but it happens. We have to keep it moving, and yes, we have to keep it moving because we've got Dwight Gayle on the show, and we need to explore your career, because I think your career is a very interesting one. But before we do that, Dwight, I'm just going to do some admin real quick. Guys, the subscribers are going up, and it's so impressive, and we're so fortunate, and we thank you. We're hitting some numbers now. We're into the next hundreds, and we need you to get us even higher. So if you're locked onto this, please hit that subscribe button, the like, the notification, all of that good stuff, and please leave a comment. We've got Premier League royalty in the building. So that being said, we will crack on. So Dwight, thanks for jumping on again. I did kind of accost you when I saw you at Ryan on the soccer day on a Saturday morning, and you kindly said you'll jump on the pod. So we thank you for that, because you must get tired of people just stopping you in the streets, wanting something from you. So, but Dave Bricknell actually said that he would try and get you on for us as well, but he failed, and I managed to succeed. So I'll let him know that as well. And I think the reason Dave wanted you to come on is because he touched on his show that your career wasn't one that was straightforward. You ended up playing in the Premier League, as I've mentioned. Mm-hmm. Great career, but your start wasn't that straight sailing. So do you mind going through your journey from, I don't know, whenever you started playing, what got you into football? Can you talk us through your the start of your career, what got you into football, and your journey up until, I guess, you got signed, and then what happened from there?
Signed as in professionally? Academy?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just sort of started playing around 5 or 6, just as my brother played, sort of thing, and my dad obviously loved football and played a bit himself. So I just was like playing on the side of the pitch, trying to get involved a bit with him.
Oh, so your older brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he ended up going to Arsenal as well, a bit before me, between 12 and 15. But so I was just playing for Brimsdown around under 6, under 7s, just for a year above sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And then I left to go play for Ridgeway at like under 7s, under 8s. And we joined with Waltham Forest, which was Dave's team. And we just had a really, really good team. I think maybe 6 or 7 boys that year left all to go to academy. I think 2 or 3 went to Chelsea, 1 to Crystal Palace, and a few to Arsenal. Mm-hmm. So we had like a really good team that some really good players, and thankfully I managed to go to Arsenal. So that was sort of like my early years. Obviously, my dad was someone that like coached me a lot and did a lot of technical stuff with me in the garden and stuff, and that was like my early years of football before academy.
And what was that like, having your dad having played, being your coach, and your brother playing, your older brother playing, and being at Arsenal? What was that like for a young Dwight Gayle? Was there pressure, expectation?
I think it was a lot easier for myself because I'd sort of seen my brothers do it as well. I think the second brother, or I was the third, but the second sort of brother in football, if it becomes a bit easier because you're learning things at a quicker rate, mm-hmm. Because you're trying to sort of catch up. And I always think that playing with better players is always going to do better for you, so that must work as a younger brother as well. I also saw how the relationship went, sort of thing, subconsciously, mm-hmm. between like my older brother and my dad, in terms of it's obviously difficult for sons and stuff to accept being told like they're doing stuff wrong by their parents when they just want to win, sort of thing. So I feel like subconsciously I was more adapted sort of for it, sort of thing. So my brother would get frustrated by it, whereas I was just desperate to get his attention or be successful. Right. So I was ready to listen a bit more, and that's probably why it felt like it come a bit quicker to me, because I was like much more attuned to focusing on sessions from a young age, whereas we know how difficult it is, obviously, to coach our sons, sort of thing. They get very frustrated with us, and it can be a tough relationship, sort of thing. So I feel like that was a big thing for me, to be honest.
And if I'm not mistaken, so you're I'm not going to say the only one that made it pro. I don't know what your brother's careers were, but I didn't even know you had brothers. So this is brand new to me. So what did they do in football, if anything? And also, what's the age gap between you, just so we can set the scene?
My brother is 5 years above me, the middle one. The older one didn't play. He got frustrated with obviously my dad, with like the pressure he probably put onto them. It sort of fizzled down in people listening to him, to be honest. But the middle one was at Arsenal from 12 to 15. And then he got released, and he was also supposed to be like the better one out of the two of us. But then there's so much more to just ability, I think, sort of thing in football. And for like, I just was a lot more able to deal with things, I think, mentally. When he got released, I think 15, 16 was also a really tough age. So under 16s, you've got other sort of outside noise that like going out and stuff like that. Also, you're going through a lot of testosterone around that time, where you almost have a bit of like frustration. And I also think as well, it can be quite difficult for people that have had only success to have like your first release at 16. Between 16 and 21, I think it's a really tough age to get released. I feel like you're better off going through these difficult stages a lot earlier, because you're able to deal with them a bit better and go back to football and enjoy them again. Whereas I feel like if you have sometimes too much just upwards and being one of the best players, when you finally have that first sort of bad news or something, I think you're ready to blame everyone else and stuff like that. You're ready to be a bit more frustrated at things, sort of thing. And I do think that was one of the reasons that he sort of stopped playing. And then I feel like it took him a long period of time to get over it as well, not just in football but in life.
Okay, I'm so fascinated by this, and I'll tell you why in a second. But before I poke the bear even further, right, I just want to make sure yourself and your brother are good. You've got a good relationship, right?
Very good relationship.
Okay. Perfect. Fine. I just find it so fascinating. I'll tell you why I find this fascinating. It's because I'm the last one of 3. And in fact, I'm also 17th of October. So I'm not saying I'm Dwight Gayle, but I'm saying I understand some of this conversations we're having now, especially about the dynamic with your brothers, because as the youngest brother, you do get the benefit of a lot of things. And what I'm hearing in between the lines here is your dad was strict, your dad was pushy, your dad wanted the best for you, and your dad probably was deemed a pushy dad. However, you're not saying he was a pushy dad, because it sounds it wasn't for you, because your mindset, the way you were attuned to it, having witnessed it, having understood it, having been chasing your brothers, you were ready, you were eager to please as well, your dad. And so therefore it didn't come across as a pushy dad. That's what I'm hearing, and that's
exactly right.
And I get it, because as the youngest brother, they always say to me, they always think I'm the oldest now that we're in our 40s. So now they say to me, who's the oldest? And they think it's me, not because of the way I look, clearly, but because of the way I'm always in charge and the way I present. But I know that I'm only like this because I was able to have the easy ride through, because I had the older brothers and I was chasing them, and you always try and challenge your big brothers. So And what I'm hearing as well, which you acknowledge, which I find so fascinating as well, you said he was supposed to be the better one.
Uh-huh.
Where did that come from, if you don't mind me asking?
Just like, I don't know, just as a younger, I just know how good he was. Even like coaches or people around the Arsenal academy things would be like, he was like so gifted. And the fact he managed to make it to 15 sort of thing, and what we both struggled with was height and strength and stuff. So he was able to still do that all the way from 12 to 15. Just shows what he would have been, that his abilities, because I know how difficult it was for me between 12 and 15, even at grassroots football sort of thing. Like the size difference was just too much for me to compete with. Like even though I was, because I sort of went from just playing a lot like up front to then I played a lot of football playing midfield just because I just couldn't compete. So like I would know that I would never been close to even getting near it at Arsenal sort of thing at that age.
Wow. So I'm going to open the floor up in a second to the rest of the panel. But you kind of skipped forward there, which we were going there anyway. So you went to Arsenal, you said that, you got signed. You were in the academy, was that from 9 to then 12?
Yeah, I think I might have went there when I was 8, to be fair. I know that they've sort of done an under-9 thing now, but I feel like I was there for 4 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was obviously between 8 and 10, like one of the best players there, and just like ripping it up sort of thing. And then as people started to get a bit bigger around 11, 12, things just really went backwards. I remember the last year of football, just really like not hating it, but just not enjoying it. I felt like it was pushed upon me, and I was like, didn't really want to go training too much, just because it just felt like I was missing out a lot on stuff, and then I wasn't always starting, or I was not playing too much. I was getting pushed back, like I said, to centre mid. Then I went right wing, and was just getting frustrated with it, sort of thing. Just getting pushed off the ball and bullied off the ball a bit too much. So when I almost got released, it was almost like a bit of a relief sort of thing. And then I sort of went on a few trials to some other teams who sort of asked me to sign. I went to Leyton Orient, and they asked me to sign like a scholarship, even at 12. I went to, I think, Charlton, they asked me to sign, and then I was sort of doing well at Tottenham, but that wasn't confirmed yet. But they said they wanted me to come in and continue it, but I just sort of said that I'd had enough, sort of thing, because it just felt too much for me at the time. I sort of wanted to play with my friends, so I sort of went back to Ridgeway to play with them from that point.
So I'm hearing too much. I'm hearing best player from 8 to 10, or one of the best players from 8 to 10, and then hearing 10 to 12, it becoming too much. Do you mind? I'm going to hand over to Deji, because this is Deji's space. When we talk about height, this is where Deji comes alive. But I just want to know some of the things, if you don't mind, that you were feeling between those 2 years. I know you spoke about the change of position, being able to cope or not quite cope physically. But what was going through your young mind at that point? What were the things you were thinking? Were you think you're not good enough? Were you think you didn't have enough support? Were you hoping to play in a different position?
No, it wasn't even that. It just was just out of my depth, sort of thing, in terms of just physicality. I think we changed to. I think when you're younger, we used to. It's probably the same as you guys. Went to 11-a-side quite quickly. So when the spaces opened and stuff like that, then it changes. And I've heard even things about the academies now when you have all these good players at 7-a-side and stuff, and then things can change so much. It goes from a technical game to a bit more of a physical game. And then where I was playing up front, I'm guessing, because I see it even now, sort of thing, with my little boy, sometimes when you're like through on goal and you're getting caught after 2 or 3 steps just because of the size difference, even though you might have taken them on 2 seconds before. And I'm sure that would have been the same as me, sort of thing. And I'm guessing I started to hide a bit as well when I was getting bullied a bit. So that, yeah, just like the last 2 years, or especially the last year, was just difficult. It did come as a bit of a surprise, as I do remember, like, the end of season letters that used to come through, and my mum was like, I remember her like bringing it to me, and I was just in a bit of shock, sort of thing, because I just thought it was going to be a given that they extended the contract, but at the same time, it's almost felt like a bit of a relief. But then I was saying that I remember like going into the training ground to sort of speak to the club, but like my mum and dad said, "Do you want to come in?" And I was like, "No, I'd like you two just go in." And then they said that, "Do you want to train from now to the end of the season?" And I was just like, "No, I'm just gonna look to do something else, to be honest." So it's just a bit it feels sometimes almost like you've been in a job, because it's a lot of pressure at the same time at such a young age.
I hear that.
Yeah, and I was going to touch on that, and thank you, Dwight, for touching on that. I guess the question I wrote, and Andrew knew that I was going to jump on this, is obviously you made it, and we're going to get to there later in the pod. But what did you do? Because if you're a small player, the one thing we know is you got to cope somehow. Do you get what I'm saying? If you weren't able to cope, you wouldn't have made it. What did you do? What did you tell yourself? How are you surviving? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because my son is probably one of the smaller players on the pitch, but I will say he's very technical. Yeah. And I feel like he gets overlooked a lot because of his height, although I feel he can do bits. But what advice could you give my son, basically?
Just to try and obviously work on like the pockets and stuff like that. Obviously the technical thing is something that you're gonna have to be absolutely amazing at, being able to protect the ball. Obviously the Spanish boys are like the best at it, so watching people like that and how they're able to use their body, people like Silva and Bernardo, David Silva and Bernardo Silva, things like that. And then also out of possession's like a big thing. I know it's not too much when we're younger and stuff, but if the first thing first thing scouts or anyone really, academies, they want to look at, if you're small, is he going to be getting bullied like out of position as well, or what's he doing for the team if we haven't got the ball, because we obviously know how gifted he is on the ball. What is he going to bring to the team outside of that? And I think those two people there, or especially Bernardo Silva, he brings so much to Man City's team for like pressing and being intelligent out of possession. Like he's someone that understands the game defensively so well. And I think sometimes as a small player, that's the first thing you're sort of judged on without you knowing, sort of thing. I think everyone's like, oh, how can we get away with like the big players when we're in possession? But that's another thing that I think you can work on as well, being a bit more tactically aware or defensively strong, sort of thing, to start presses off and stuff like that. Really, just thinking of other ways that you can add to your game, because ultimately it's always going to be difficult. But then if you are working and managing to achieve it when you're small, when you do finally have your growth spurt, then hopefully you kick on and you leave the people behind.
Yeah, big ups to you. Thank you for that. And my son will definitely be listening in and taking on board that advice. And I mean that genuinely, because I think like the off the ball stuff is very important, and actually getting him to think about, whether that bullying thing that you said, whether the big boys are bullying or whether he's shirking away from maybe his responsibility because of size, I think is a key piece of advice. Another question I really wanted to ask you, Dwight, you're on here, loving the vibe, very chilled. You're the second pro that I've met, and I've noticed that there's a chill factor with pros. And we also heard about you, and you were talking about your journey with your dad. How are you kind of raising your boy in the game? Are you kind of following from your dad's footsteps? Are you doing anything different? And if you are, what are you doing different?
No, I think we are very, very similar. People will say we're exactly the same, to be honest. But at the same time, I think that my experiences are going to be very, very good for him. The fact that I'm going to be able to explain to him experiences and stuff and how timings work in his favor and stuff like that. And then because of what I've been able to achieve, it's going to be a bit clearer for him, and it's not going to be like, oh, you're just saying that or anything like that. He will have full on belief. I also know that as well that a lot of ex-players have a similar sort of makeup to their approach with it. They're quite relaxed at the beginning because I feel like they have the experience that it's not a race to get there. Where I sort of picked up on earlier about not going too quickly to that peak because it can be dangerous. Not many people are able to stay at that height with all that pressure the whole way through being the best player in a team. You obviously hear the stories of like a lot of the good ones coming out of the middle of the group, like the ones that perhaps weren't rated and everyone's like, oh, they wasn't that good then or whatever. And that just shows you really that sometimes the approach is to just go through it a bit slower and not like put too much pressure on someone who's like 7 or 8, 9 or 10 sort of thing, as can have a bit of a burnout. So that's something that's going to go into my approach really similar in terms of just quite a relaxed one until he tells me that he wants to go faster sort of thing. So I think one of the most important things is just got to be on their terms. The last thing you want to do is like scar your child or put the pressure on where, like I said before, they have all the good things and then it goes bad for them. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to be blaming other people because you told me to do it like this or you told me to go this hard and you didn't give me these other options, and that's not what you want. You want the kid to take full
ownership.
It's ownership. That's the word. Yeah, full ownership. It's on them, and that's when they'll just teach them all the good values about just being a good professional, good person, and that'll give them the best chance, I think, really.
Yeah, no, thank you. Because, I'm picking up from you and my friend Andre used to play for Jamaica, and he was talking about they've got the rest of their lives to be stressed. And so that kind of, because too often in the grassroots game, everyone's trying to get their kids in the academy off the bat. Everyone's trying to, everyone's criticizing every touch they make, every training session. Would they're like, Hawkeye, why'd you let him go past you? And I just feel, so my last question is, do you think, from what you're seeing with the grassroots game, from what you're seeing even in the Echo League as a manager, I believe, do you think that there's just too much pressure too soon, or is there a place for us to be like a King Richard? Because I say this because we didn't make it, so we're trying to make we want our kids to make it, but we're seeing that the pros, their approach to the game is completely different. But I don't know. What say you on this?
I don't think there's a one size fits all for sure. But I'd say it's difficult because you feel like if you don't do it and that's what everyone else is doing, that's the success you see because people are looking at it on the fact that there people who are doing it so much or getting to the academies at the beginning. But it's like sometimes you have to zoom out to see like the end goal, and you're seeing things over a long period. Then I think it may perhaps change your mind. But it's definitely a difficult question. Like my advice was, and I try and tell any kids that are sort of getting too fixated on too much football, I think sometimes is to do other sports. You obviously mentioned you have footballer mates and stuff, and I'm sure that you'll notice that almost all of them are not just good at just football. They're good at like everything. And I think that's one thing that I definitely try to advise is if you do want to do football, to do other stuff as well, because the person who does football or the one who just fixates on football gets really good really quickly, and everyone's like, oh, that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. Play football 7 times a week. Blah, blah, blah. But then they sort of get stuck when they get to like 12, 13, and then other boys that have been doing tennis and cricket or all different other sports, it suddenly starts to give them a wider range of movements, wider range of understanding of how like sports work, how competition works, how like tactically it works. And I think that gives them a wider range. I feel just like being almost like bilingual, being able to adapt to other things when you're picking up a new language is like the same for sports. I think if you're able to have a wide range of things, it then helps you for the individual one when you get to the nitty gritty and you start to want it to kick on properly.
Yeah. OC. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Do you know what? Some good questions there. I've had to cross out a lot of the questions that you've already covered, Dwight. But,
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's good for the audience.
My bad. Sorry.
But I like that, and something that I would definitely fly the flag for, just in terms of that multi-sports, because I think we had a guy come on, Nathan, and he mentioned that as you go through the game, and obviously the idea is to get to 35 and retire as a pro. That's the idea, or say 40. But have something else to keep it fresh. So if you're doing your judo, your music, your cricket, something over there, you can just keep football fresh, because I'm sure you would tell us that you enjoyed it, but it's also a grind. It's a long road, isn't it? So, yeah, I like that. Question that I've got is, just in terms of your approach with your son. Sorry, what age group is your son?
Under 8s.
Under 8. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I like the idea of the father-son relationship. Mums as well are not excluded, but I like the idea of the garden, the park, the information from the dad. I know that you're a professional footballer, we're not all pro footballers, but what's your thoughts on growth and development for kids now? Because obviously in this day and age now, kids are doing 4 or 5 one-to-ones a week. They're doing 15 group sessions, and they're going at it hard. Do you feel, what's your thoughts on just the at home, the back garden, the park thing with your dad? Or do you feel like kids need to be sort of in these sessions to really get to the level?
I do think the dad ones is fully acceptable. It's really good for them. And like the relationship is such a good relationship to have with your dad as well, to be able to do that all the time. It creates a nice little bond. And the academy one, the one-to-one thing, it seems that's the way that the game's going. Some of the younger boys now are so equipped in terms of their one-to-one dribbling and stuff, and I do think it's good. And also I think adding to that, it is important to work with smaller groups as well, so it's not just one-to-one stuff. And again, I can't comment too much as it's very new for me getting back into it. I've been away from the academy game for a long period of time now, so I've missed it for a while, so I couldn't like confirm what's right or wrong. Like I said, a lot of the young boys that are coming into it now, you're seeing people like who've been doing one-to-ones for a long period of time, right backs that are unbelievably good because of their upbringing and what they've been coached in. So who am I to say it's wrong, sort of thing? So I couldn't comment too much on that.
That's an interesting one, because the approach I've taken with my son, I don't really do the one-to-ones with him.
Yeah.
I like to get out with him. He does do group sessions, but I would prefer if he could have his own identity rather than it being sort of drilled into him by a coach. I think it has its place, but I don't know if I'm being old school with it as well, because actually in this day and age now, like you say, there's kids and parents that are out there and they're doing their thing and they're getting a reward. So there's probably a balance to be struck there, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's how it feels to me as well. I'd say a bit of balance, really. You don't want to be completely fixated on it, because I do think that there's players that are so one-to-one coach base that you can see them from a mile off in terms of their understanding of the rest of the game, of how to make a game realistic. And they get into this dribbling mode every single time they get on the ball when there's other options. So that's why I said, like, it's a bit of a balance where you want to be working with other players as well and other game related situations that one-to-ones are not going to be able to sort of reenact.
Yeah, I'd agree. Just coming back to what you said earlier, you mentioned that your time in Arsenal, which I think I might have got it wrong, but I think it ended at under 12. You said it started to feel like a job from so young. And question around that is when did it start to feel serious for you, and when was it actually serious? Because it sounded like it was serious, like really serious, in like the under 8, 9, 10 period. But when was it actually serious for you?
So the thing is, it's always sort of perspective. I probably didn't think it was that serious when I'm enjoying it, when I'm the best player in the team sort of thing, and I'm scoring goals, because it's just fun at the end of the day if you're scoring goals and enjoying it. It probably felt like a job when I probably wasn't doing too well, felt too serious when you're not sort of doing well, you're not enjoying it when you're going there, you're not playing too much, and you're missing like parties, and you're missing like weekends or stuff like with friends, not going out on your bikes and that stuff. When stuff starts getting taken away from you, when it's also not going well there, that's when I started to feel it. But again, someone at the same age doing the same things who's doing well would be thinking completely different. So it's always perspective, really.
Yeah, that is a true point, to be fair. I'll end over with this question. I'm just itching to ask it. So obviously you're a manager now, and you're going through the stresses of managing your own son, as I've done, and Andrew have, and just getting to grips with the sidelines in this like chaotic grassroots age. But question I've got is just in terms of strikers. So listen, we produced some great strikers: Lineker, Kane, Sturridge, Fowler, Defoe. And you'll have strikers right through the league, so you can tell a striker, be if they're League 2 or they're Premier League. Can you tell a striker from like a very young age now? So are there players in the league where you're just like, he's a striker? Do you think like it's natural from birth, or do you feel like strikers are developed?
Wow, that's a tough question. I don't know really. I think it's almost developed sort of thing, or you sort of go into the age probably when you, I don't know, but maybe like 12 to 15.
Sorry to cut it. Were you hitting goals from when you were 5, 6, 7?
Yeah, that's all I really cared about. That at the time, I was just adamant. I just wanted to score as many goals. My dad would give me like £1 a goal or something, and I'd just be saving up, stacking up my money as quick as I could to buy a football goal for the garden and stuff. That was what I cared about. And if I didn't score, I was coming off fuming, and that sort of was my mindset, especially from a young age up to about 12, and then it come back into me probably about 19 again when I started playing up front again. Just fixated on it. Yeah. And I think that's a really important thing, especially for young strikers, to just be in that frame of mind. I think the academies have sort of got a bit sidetracked with the development of them. They almost create a lot of 10s and cute footballers that probably are not adapted to the first team game. And I find that that's probably why England in general was probably struggling with that next sort of generation for that sort of side of it. You're creating a lot of unbelievable players that are more fixated or can play the number 10 role or 11 or 7 sort of thing. And we're not really creating too much like instinctive killers, as you say.
100%. Sorry, go on, Ossie.
No, because listen, we've had a lot. Like when I'm thinking for the 90s and noughties and that sort of age range. But so I've been coaching, not right now, but when I see a kid 7, 8, 9, I can just tell that they're a striker from young, even from the under 6, under 7 season. I was like, that boy he's a striker. He's natural. So whilst I think that you're going to develop, I just feel like these strikers are born. They're just like gifts to the world. Like they're just strikers from the womb, basically. That's how I sort of see it. But
no, my little man seems that way, but I'm gonna push him to right back. That's where I want him to play. I'm gonna try and push him there.
You want him to be that cultured right back who can take people on, the Trent almost right back.
Yeah, because that's what I think the best way to do is to sort of get him to play midfield and let him learn about the whole role of how everything works. 'Cause I think midfield is the best place to learn like how things work and how you got to work together and stuff like that, and then go and push them out to right back from there. Because that's why Trent and Reece James are just they just stand out because their understanding of the game is next level. Their reverse passes, they get it because of their experience from midfield. I think.
Yeah, they want to know how they know how they want to receive that ball, right?
Yeah, that's why I say to the boys when I'm training them and I'm playing them, we all play in different positions, and they're sometimes crying or moaning, saying, "Oh, I don't want to play in midfield. I don't want to play centre back. I don't want to play in goal." And I'm like, it's so important that you learn to play in other positions because then you know where you want to pass, where you don't want to pass, what's going to get your midfielder in trouble, what's going to get your centre back in trouble if you do, sort of thing, and it will just make you a better player. So that's what I try and tell.
Yeah, and that's a great point, and I fully agree with that point, Dwight. And your point, OC, and your point previously about number 9s, Dwight. I think both are very true, and it's something I've noticed in the game. I've seen your little boy at football, Dwight, and he loves to score. And it's interesting that you say, OC, that you can see a striker. And I think you can see a goal scorer at this age. I don't know if you can see a striker. And the only reason I say that is because a striker in the modern game in England is a number 9 who does both roles.
Yeah, it's different.
And this is why we're struggling to produce the archetype number 9. And coming in as the pitch gets bigger, you touched on this earlier, Dwight, and Tej, you'll see this now in Echo at under 11s. If you can find a number 9, because typically you're playing 1 up front and 9 aside. Some play 2, but most play 1. To find that person who can hold the ball up, knows the offside, and can still bang, it's harder and harder and harder. Why do you laugh?
No, it's just funny to hear it, man. It's just jokes.
Yeah, it is. It's literally, I'm seeing as the game's evolved. Like when you can be offside, when you can live offside, you've got all the time in the world. You don't have to battle with the centre halves. Players are getting bigger. What's happening now? There's less and less rotation as you get older. So the biggest players are up front. The biggest players are in defence. So you're fighting with this player, this humongous. Look at who you got at the back, Tej. You've got a giant at the back. You've got an absolute giant. He's 6 foot already. And strikers have to come up against this. So my point is the game's changed. It's evolved. And this is one of the reasons we're struggling to find players. And Dwight's going to take away a striker from us and put him at right back as well.
Yeah, I have to, man. You just said, bro, you don't want to battle with some 6 foot guy, bro.
No, I hear
that. But I do think though that there is something about I feel like the game has got a little bit more robotic, if that makes sense. So if you look at even the Echo and the teams, everyone's doing passing from the back, everyone's got these drills or punching the ball. Obviously decision making might not quite be there, but I see less and less. And I'm going to use a French thing here because I've been doing the French thing for the last couple of weeks on this pod. I see less and less je ne sais quoi. Like, I don't see the Ronaldinhos, the Dejinhos, so good they named me twice. And do you think... Stop. What did I say?
You just rolled up. Ronaldinho and De Gea without even a pause, a break, like you played in the 2002 World Cup with him.
No, I swear
Rivaldo and Ronaldo. I'm just saying.
Had things gone a slightly different way, bro, I'm Brazilian. I swear down to you, bro.
What, like you were born over there?
Yeah, bro. Bro, in the World Cup squad, the 1994 USA, I'm there with Bebeto and Romario. You know them ones.
doing cradling the baby. Yeah. All right. Cool. We keep it moving.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go on.
No,
Sorry, Gino.
No, that's right. But Dwight, I'm just saying. Do you think that maybe? I don't want to say. I think Pep has brought something to the Prem, obviously. But you named Bernardo Silva in particular. But do you think there's a purity? You know, when I remember you when you were banging in goals. When I think of also Jermaine Defoe. You know what I mean? I think of players who were just, you know, shift bang. Do you know what I mean? And we're not really seeing the shift bang. And is that because it's just too much coaching, not enough? Just let the man them or the girls just go out and just kick ball.
I just think that the game's developed. That players have got so much more intelligent about what information they've been given. The way that the boys, they're just so fit now that they're getting back into positions a lot quicker. As soon as they lose the ball, they're pressing for 2 or 3 passes, and once that's done, they're getting a low block. And then, like we'd do training sessions, and you'd be there for 20 minutes sometimes, and you wouldn't be able to break down a back 6 if they've just continually stayed in that position. And it just shows you sort of thing that it is difficult. That they've been coached so well defensively that almost being like too open about your attack is almost dangerous. You're going to get countered on. That's why they sort of go slowly. That's why a lot of set plays have come in. And I know you say like the spontaneous players of the dribblers has gone as well. But I'd then go back to the set fact that I feel like defenders have improved so much. Fullbacks are like one of the quickest players on the team. They're so agile, and almost trying to take them on sometimes is almost dangerous. You almost 100% going to lose the ball and then be out of position with it. That's why a lot of players sometimes turn back out. And then I just think the only sort of players that are good at dribbling are almost like the ones that are a bit unpredictable, or the left footers, because they bring something different a bit sometimes from the usual like right footed dribblers. And I know it's almost not nice or not as nice to watch, because obviously we want to see goals, we want to see like nice things, but that's just sort of like the way the game's gone. And I think it has improved, but not for our enjoyment, I don't think, or the older generation, because we've probably missed like the old school, like we say.
Yeah.
Wow.
Respect.
What?
I'm sorry.
So, were you finished there? Sorry.
Yeah. I just had one more question along those lines for Dwight. Really, I've asked this question about how many vids have we done. Do you know what I mean? Every show, I always ask this question. What's more important, technicals or physicality?
When you say physicality, do you mean like running power as well?
Yeah, because at the moment, I'll be real with you, it's my bugbear, and I hope I don't shoot myself in the foot. We're seeing, at least at my son's age, the kind of academy system is going straight for, you know what, 6'7", 6'9" NBA basketball players who are wobbling like this, but they're like, don't worry, it's calm. We can fix that, over a potential Bernardo Silva. Now you've been there, you felt it. You know, I one of my bedrooms said to me one time that Nani, for example, said, you know, that if you get hit by Ronaldo, it feels like you've just been hit by a train. Do you know what I mean? Because Premier League players are so robust, so strong, so quick. So I'm asking you, in order to survive in the game, is it the technicals that you need more, or is it the physicality? Because it seems like the academies are focusing more on the physicality rather than the technicals, if that makes sense.
It depends, like what you want as well. Like the top players are obviously majority are going to be like technical, but then so it's like a mixture because then some of the ones that are just so physical in terms of speed and power, they get an option in as well. So you definitely need both. It's like a balance sort of thing. You need a few in your team with one, but then if you have only technical players, you're never going to be able to break down what we said before, like a block, because there's not going to be someone who can 1v1 someone or not. Speed always breaks down defenses as well. Like that's the biggest thing. If you've got someone with speed, you're threatening behind, it means they have to defend side on. That's going to open pockets for your 10 sort of thing. So that's a tough question. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but it's almost like the academies are happy to push the ones that are physically a bit better because they've got a bit more of a higher ceiling, as you can add that other stuff to them maybe, or they feel they can, whereas they don't probably think that they can add physicality because it's just not destined to be. Their parents are not tall or whatever, and that's sort of the hill that they want to sit on, sort of thing, in terms of that sort of side of it. It's a tough one because I'm obviously the more technical one with no physicality, but I also understand what they're trying to do as well.
What are they trying to do? Sorry. And then
they're trying to like create physicality and then develop them as players, because what we said before is a lot of the game now is all to do with in the brain rather than actual technical ability, about being structured as a team, pressing at the right time. Like you said, robotic, they're being told exactly what to do and they never really steer away from that with spontaneous movements or play sort of thing. So if you have someone who's physically strong and powerful and then add that to it, then you've almost got like a good player already to get to go.
Thank you.
As bad as it sounds.
Yeah. But it's the reality, isn't it? It's it's the facts. Do you get me? It's the facts, and that's what they're looking at. But yeah, not big up.
Listen, sorry, OC, before you jump in, I just wanted to take it back and then we're going to go forward again, if that's okay. There's some key points I think that Dwight's got that the listeners will love to hear. But I just wanted to pay you a compliment, Dwight, in the sense that, as Deji said, we've had quite a few guests on, and a lot of them have discussed the multi-sports. I just think the way you described and explained it was so clear, and probably the best delivery of it we've had in regards to what benefits that a boy or girl gains from having it, and also the point you made about footballers being good at all sports. I know because one of my best mates is, and he annoys me that he picks up any sport after 5 seconds because the natural hand-eye coordination, speed, endurance, all of that good stuff, he gets it. And go on.
Sorry, it's just to add on that, it's just sometimes people think, oh, you're just naturally good at sport sort of thing, but it's not. It's because you have a wide basis, like I said before, about being like bilingual in a language. You're just better equipped to adapt to other sports because you've already got the basis of a lot of things, sort of thing, and it's easily transferable. That's what I'd just add to it. Sorry.
Yeah, no, perfect. Exactly. And I just wanted to point that out because I'm going somewhere, so let me land. But that explanation was brilliant, and I think your other explanation about quite a few actually about different positions. I think we all know that kids should be playing different positions, but again, the way you explained that made perfect sense. And your battle now that you have internally, you understand where the clubs are going. Caicedo is probably one of the best players in the Premier League. But Caicedo, if I don't like this phrase, but if I say this phrase, everybody understands what I mean instantly. He's a beast, right? And there's all those footages going around when Chelsea played Spurs and how he dominated the midfield. Him and Fernandes, but more so him. But then you were a technical player, and your boy's technical, and your brother sounds like he was technical, and your dad's probably belief is technical. Given all this, and the fact that you have such a great understanding of the game, the way you speak on the game, it's very clear. What is your coaching style like? What do you push? I understand you push different positions, but what do you look for? If you could handpick players, what are you looking for? And what is your coaching approach? You've seen others. What would you say your style is?
Just to help them improve, sort of thing. I want to create an environment where they're all want to improve, but then they're also happy to be there. They all want to look after each other, trying to create a nice team environment, sort of thing, which I think we've definitely done at the moment. We obviously try and, like you say, play football the whole way through. We never kick the ball. Like I said, we don't have a goalie, so everyone takes turns in goals, and I try and create like a sweeper sort of thing in terms of not wanting the goalie to ever be on the goal line, and to bring up the ball himself, sort of thing, and come back out, just to enjoy playing nice football, really, and then to compete as well. Obviously, we just mentioned about some of the big lads you're going to come across and stuff, so it is also important. Like we mentioned about playing in different positions, it's so important to get humbled sometimes by better teams. Mm-hmm. So last week we went into Arsenal, and we got absolutely smashed. Mm-hmm. But I was telling all the players and stuff and the parents as they was going, oh, that was a hard watch and stuff. I was like, it was, but it's also like that's probably the best game the boys are going to have over the next 4 or 5 weeks, because they might win next week by doing the wrong things. But today will teach them about the things that they perhaps won't get away with, sort of thing. And Arsenal exactly the same, and that's why. And other clubs, they notice that. That's why they always play up years to feel the physicality sometimes. So some of the things that they're doing wrong, sort of thing, stand out even more. So yeah, just really want to see my team improve, sort of thing. So that's sort of my coaching credentials or things I want to improve. That's it.
Yeah, no, brilliant. I really wish my son was under 8 now. No disrespect to his previous coaches and current coaches, but I like your philosophy. I like your style. I think it's always good when I speak to the pros. That we think we know ball, they're Genio over there, OC, and we see it. But our lens is very different to the lens, and I think it's not just the lens. You obviously have been behind the curtain. You have lived it, slept it, drank it, ate it. You understand the pressures, what's going through, what the managers are saying, what the coaches are saying, what the players are thinking and feeling. So it's always important I think, to listen to pros and when they speak, because some of them you can't stand on TV, but they have got the insight that you don't. Mm-hmm. So it's important. But I just wanted to take it back, as I mentioned, Dwight. I think you came out of the academy. I hope you got some time. Sorry.
Don't be silly.
Yeah, great. So you came out of the academy at 12. Big academy. Your brother was in there. Somebody you looked up to. Your dad was applying the right kind of pressure for you. You took a step away. You went back to Ridgeway, you said. And then you didn't get back into football, by the sounds of it, until 19. What happened, and what did you do during those years, 12 to 19? And what skill sets did you build up on and off the pitch? And how do you think those helped you?
Just like, so footballing wise, sort of thing, I just continued to play my football from 12 till 16 with my Ridgeway team. I think we started a team under 16s of the best London players of grassroots.
Yeah.
So it was winning everything, sort of thing. And then I remember leaving at 16 because I sort of started to be a bit too small for even my team then. I wasn't playing too many games, but I still was top goal scorer. And I used to take the pens. And then we got to the semi-final, and I sort of come on in the second half. Dave said I scored, but I don't remember scoring. And then we had the penalty shootouts. And I remember Dave telling me to take a penalty and stuff. And I didn't want to take it.
Oh.
But he sort of said I'll have to take it. So I've gone up to take it, but I'm crying on the way up, to be honest. And then I managed to creep it in. I scored. And then I didn't go back, to be honest. I just, because to be fair, I told my mum that I sort of had enough, even with them, just to be honest, because I just wasn't really enjoying it. And it was just becoming really difficult again, just getting bullied sort of thing. So I left, and I didn't speak to Dave for like 3 years.
Right, because he made you take the pen?
Yeah.
You left?
Because he made me made a 10, but again, it's like the thing that you want to blame someone else.
Right.
But like, all these things are important because like failures are where you learn a lot of things. I learned to take accountability for stuff, and then I went to the sports college. Again, I tried to go Barking Abbey, which was where all the good boys went from like my team, and I didn't make it into that, so I went to Rushcroft Sports College and did like a sports diploma. Did that for 2 years, and then played against Barking Abbey, which I spoke to someone again the other day at Hale End. And we got banged 5-1. I was playing midfield and I got dragged at half time. So I said to someone the other day, it's been 3 dark days that I've had at Hale End. The last 3 times, like proper dark.
You told me that, actually. You told me that.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
So, and then I went to do carpentry. So I did carpentry for 3 years from 18 to 21, to be honest. And then it's funny because I was doing carpentry, and for some reason I wasn't with my dad. He must have been coming back on the train somewhere else, and he come across an old friend who sort of said that they've got a team together at Stansted, and asked if I wanted to join. And by that time, I'd grown sort of thing a little bit. So when I was like my second year of college, maybe just turning 18, I started to grow finally, go through puberty, and then I felt like a bit stronger, so I was playing a little bit men's team with Old Parliamentarians and Ryan a few games, and then I joined them at Stansted, so I had to finally talk to Dave again. And then we was all good friends again when things started going well. We had a really good couple of seasons at Stansted together. To be honest, it was unbelievable to be with my friends again and enjoy it. I started sort of right wing because I still was a bit tiny because I wasn't growing into my body yet. But then, like the second half of the season, we had a few injuries where I got to play up front, and I scored a few goals and managed to just stay up front. And then I started hitting the gym that second half of the season at Peter May with a close friend, Tommy, from the team. And then things just started to just literally bulldoze from there. Just complete, just goals all the time. Just felt so confident going into each game. It was wicked.
Can I pause there? Because I think that season you scored 57 goals or something crazy like that. Was that? I think
that's what I think. Oh no, the first season I didn't score that many. I think I scored about 27 in the league, but literally I scored like 3 before Christmas, just playing right wing. And then the second half of the season I was playing up front. I just scored 27, and like it was mad. Just confidence was just peak. Wicked.
We're going to go on from that. I mean, everyone can Google your career. You had a fantastic career. Like I said at the start of the show, 20 million euros in transfer fees when transfer fees weren't that high. You've scored goals in the Prem, played for Newcastle. Dej wanted you at Spurs, as he said. Like, you were sought after, you were a household name. You were a bona fide Premier League goal scorer, right? But one of the questions I felt like I was going to ask you before I actually heard your story was, did you always know you were going to be a Premier League player, a footballer? I'm not getting that from you.
Not at all. When I was 12, yeah, I would have thought I was going to do it. But from that point onwards, definitely not. Like, it was completely gone. Even when I still got back into Dagenham and stuff, it was almost like I was doing it for enjoyment. Like, the end goal was never that. It was just because I loved football. I've always loved sport in general, but it was just a passion that I would be like training for. And even when I was between 16 and 19 and the boys was like going out and stuff, it was still just in my mindset to just train the way I was like a professional almost, or train doing running and just practicing my shooting and getting better technically and stuff like that. That was just my mindset.
So you had a professional mindset, but you've spoken of crying at 16 to take a penalty, and you're a goal scorer, and you ended up having a fantastic career. There's something more there. There's some kind of inner belief or inner resilience. Do you know what I'm saying? Can you speak on that? Do you think you know what took you through?
I don't know really. I'll tell you, one of the biggest things for me was Dagenham. Really, I got to Dagenham after I finished Stansted at 21, and I sort of went on trial there, and then I sort of signed, but had to go on loan to Bishop Stortford for the season, which was unbelievable for me. I managed to play like 50 odd games there, and it was a wicked club, and I loved it. And the fact my dad played there as well was just like really nice history for us. But like, I'd come across like boys that got released from Watford, West Ham, maybe Arsenal's, and it's just a lot of local clubs, Charlton maybe. And I just noticed like all of their mindsets was what I spoke about earlier. They're all in like a blaming mindset. They used to complain about everything, like how the way we played. They didn't want to play like long football or compete for stuff. They moaned about like the gym stuff and the coaches, the food sort of thing, because they was all like Cat 1 players that were used to just like everything perfect and done for them. And the physio used to get so annoyed with them just because, you know what, an older like physio or older pro would have just been so frustrated with the young boys, just thinking they was like unbelievable or just, yeah. And then whereas I was just like I mentioned before, just so buzzing to be like playing professional, so buzzing to be going to training every day rather than having to go work. And it wasn't because I like hated work, because I used to love that as well, but I was just so like I had so much gratitude for the opportunity I had, sort of thing. So that was seen from the coaches as well. Like I'd be in at like an hour before everyone else, going to get the footballs, taking them outside, doing shooting on my own, like all year round when it's soaking wet, all the time, doing all my gym properly, asking for help. And I went in to see Wayne Bennett, who's at the Tottenham 23s now. And he said like when you was there, like it was like amazing to see that we all wanted to help you because you was so fixated on what you wanted to do. You was like an animal in terms of how you wanted to improve and stuff. And when coaches and managers see that, they want to like help you.
Pouring, yeah.
It's like, and that's how when I speak to young pros and stuff like that, I tell them about that story or tell them about that sort of mindset and how they should ask other strikers or other people in their position questions and look vulnerable, because it sort of opens up the door for them trying to help you as well. And like sometimes people have got too much pride about asking the questions about things that they think they should know or something like that, or it's beneath them if they look that way, sort of thing. And that was just like a big point in my life where I just think that gave me so much of a pull over the rest of them, sort of thing. And I sort of continued that the whole way through, especially just from seeing the way my career catapulted from that point because of my mindset. And these boys were much better players than I was, and so far ahead of me in terms of all their abilities, sort of thing. But there's like so much more to it, sort of thing.
Well, do you know, you've given me humble vibes from the moment I met you, to be honest with you. And you confuse me though, because strikers have to have an ego, but I get no ego from you. Absolutely none. Like,
I think it's changed. I think it's changed a bit, to be honest.
Go on.
Like the last 4 or 5 years. Not that I wasn't humble before. I mean, like the hungerness for goals. Like when I was younger, I used to be absolutely starving, and people would say you're a greedy guy. But I think that that's essential for young like strikers and stuff.
Yeah.
I think you've got to be that way where if you're sort of getting like those shouts, it's probably a good thing because you'll save them at one point when you say, oh, why are you shooting from there or something, you score and it sort of goes your way. And I do think you need to be in that mindset of I'm having a touch and shooting sort of thing, because like we said before, we need to promote the killer instinct type strikers, to be honest.
But around your peers, that's on the field, around your peers, the people that you've probably passed on your way up, or like you said, who are better than you don't seem to be like, I'm Dwight Gayle, I'm at Redbridge, I've just been sold for 4 million, I've just been sold for 7.5 million. Doesn't seem like you're that type of individual who walks around like you're the bee's knees.
No, I feel like that's because of my upbringing. My mum and dad were fantastic with the values they taught me and stuff like that. I also think that I did lose myself for one point, or I feel one point sort of thing, when I went to Crystal Palace. So where we said before, I literally was at Bishop Stortford, and then within 30 months I'm playing in the Prem with Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And I feel like for a little period at the beginning, I believed the hype. I believed that I was too good. Not too good, that's a lie. I believed I was like a Premier League player. I believed I was 6 million, 8 million pound, whatever it was, sort of thing. And I'd go out on nights out and not be like ridiculous, but for me, I felt like I was getting a bit like silly. And then stuff like, I remember a training session on a Sunday that we had to go in for to play on a Monday, because the boys that didn't play on a Saturday had to play on a Monday game.
Yeah.
That got arranged after a Saturday. Like, so everyone who didn't play on a Saturday, it was like, right, boys, you got to come in on Sunday. And I'd already planned the night out. So I was like, no, I'm not coming in. So I didn't go in and that. And then I remember Damien Delaney and that, and Jedinak and all that getting on to me, like proper sticking it on me. And they was like wicked, because they was like punching above their weight. Not them two individually, no way, but just for like as a club, Crystal Palace were one of the lowest paid like teams in the Championship that season, but they overachieved, managed to get to the Prem, and they got there on hard work and togetherness and that environment of we do this all together. And they proper like, not that wasn't like not only me or not loads, but they got onto me and dragged me along with them to freaking get back on board, sort of thing. And I think they was really pivotal in like realigning my focus and my humbleness, as you mentioned before.
Brilliant. And there's no surprise that Jedinak went on to coach, right?
Yeah, he's unbelievable. And he was a proper like man's man. He ran the show. He was wicked, man. I love Jedinak.
Brilliant. And I think I touched on this with Muzza Carriol the other day about your senior pros and what they mean to young players and what they can help with. Because like you said, you lost your way, but your senior pros kind of pulled you back. It's very important.
Yeah, definitely. I think the older pro sort of thing, sometimes with the younger managers, they feel like they can't control them as much as the younger pros, and they maybe don't want to listen or don't want to learn as much. But I think they're so pivotal in the dressing room. And I know that like some of the lower level teams, like Championship, League One, League Two, are so fixated on perhaps selling players and perhaps not getting promoted because there's more financial benefits to it, especially with sell-ons nowadays. But I think the senior pros, even in the dressing room, can give so much to the development, and that's so pivotal to that, especially with acceleration, rather than having all the young boys in there. We know what it's like with the under 23s sort of struggle with staff and how they go play the men's teams and struggle really. So it just shows you like having older pros how quickly they can develop. So it's so like beneficial to have 3 or 4 of them in the dressing room for sure.
Brilliant. And listen, I'm gonna let the listeners Google the rest of your career. It's brilliant. We've got more questions. I'm going to stop because we'll be here for another 3 hours if I don't stop now. I know Deji's got a few questions and OC's got a few more questions. So I'm going to hand over to them. But I will come back with my closing question, Dwight. So be prepared. I think OC's off mute now. So over to you, OC.
I'm itching to go, you know. Listen, it's been rich. It's just been like a genuine conversation, and I've learned a lot, and I think the listeners will. So yeah, I appreciate you, Dwight, just coming on and topping it up and keeping it real. It's been an enjoyable listen. I'm going to bring it back though, just for the audience. Obviously, your son is in the under-8 season. I don't know if you felt the tension of the under-8 season and the nature of the pre-academy journey and the offers and the things of that nature. Maybe your son's at that stage now, maybe he's not. But one question is, have you felt that tension as you've been coaching and the circles that you've been in? But the second question is, whilst you were in the academy and you came out under 12, what it sounds like to me is that whilst you've had talent, you've been a late developer. And that's how you've been able to get to where you developed late. You mentioned you went to the gym and then sort of kicked off from you were like, got into, just before Bishop Stortford's. So my question is twofold. One, do you feel the tension? Is there any advice that you can give to parents now that are in this season that are trying to kick down doors to get their kids signed? Just a little bit of advice for them. And secondly, speak to the late development piece as well, because I almost feel like that the parents feel like they need to get in right now, but your story sounds like actually there's a lot more time. So I don't know if you understood the question, but can you speak to that?
Yeah, no, I am very new. Like I said, I only moved back 5-6 months ago, so I feel like I've been thrown in the deep end in terms of learning everything again, sort of thing. And like Dave's told me about obviously the pre-academy and how the under-8s is just an absolute like carnage. Everyone's desperate to get in it, but I haven't we haven't seen too many of it. There's only like one player in our team who is probably good enough to do that or be around it, and I see obviously how on it they are towards football. But it's not really been too crazy, to be honest. We've been fortunate enough that we're far enough away that it hasn't been too crazy for us. And then what was the second part of the question, sorry?
Yeah, so just on that, because obviously the signing is under 9s and people can get into the system now.
The late developers, sorry.
Yeah.
So just, I just think like what I mentioned before about everything sort of goes off of like failings and sometimes that pushes you to do stronger. There's no rush to get into any sort of academies, and almost you'll notice that if you find a good coach, that can almost be like almost better than being in the academies. No disrespect to the academies, but that isn't always where the best coaches are. Like you find some good coaches at the grassroots or at like individual places sort of thing. And I think like it is important for the kid to sort of be close enough to know where he's got to get to sort of thing, and it just drives him on. And being a late developer, like we said before, it can definitely play in your favour, as what we mentioned before about being humbled by bigger and stronger players. These things, you're going to improve your speed of pass, your speed of thought, your dribble, stuff like that. These things are all going to have to be on absolute point for you to be able to play with the bigger players, the more developed players. So when you finally do catch up, hopefully that you just like fly past the ones that you've probably been struggling with.
I find that so interesting and refreshing because, yeah, there's a desperate nature for parents wanting to get their kids into the system. My boy's under 9, so a lot of his peers got into the system, and I speak to some parents now, players in there, and they're like they wish they just took a step back because actually their kids aren't necessarily thriving or even enjoying the experience like they would have anticipated. And I think that's really, I spoke to my wife about it earlier because I find it crazy because obviously, listen, if you've got an opportunity to be in Dwight Gale's team, you take it, yeah? Because obviously he's an ex-pro, he knows his stuff and he's passionate about the game. But I just find it so interesting how you've got under 6, under 7, under 8 parents and they're like, no, I would never have my kid be trained by a dad. They're like going on like their kids are professionals like already. But the thing is, the grassroots game is built on volunteers. There's people there's people that know their stuff, and there's people that care so much about your kid that actually it may well be in their best interest to stay in the grassroots rather than try and force your way into any academy that says, yeah, we'll have you type thing. So yeah, I like that perspective a lot. So another question that I've got is, in terms of, so listen, like I said, it's been a really good conversation and I've heard a lot of good experiences, but in terms of actually being a pro, going through and having the career that you've had, can you speak to like the other side of it that perhaps we don't see? Like we hear the Champions League theme music and we see Haaland banging a couple today and things of that nature, but can you speak to that other side of the game? Because like chasing contracts, the injuries and just the hard graft, because it sounds picturesque and it seems picturesque, but actually I don't think the game is quite like that. So I don't know if you can share any perspective on that other side.
From my personal point of view, obviously injuries are a very difficult time for people. So like, but at the same, the hardest one would be like reoccurrences. So you obviously get the first initial like injury sort of thing, and there's like obviously like a very difficult time, but you sort of process it within 4 or 5 days, and then you sort of then like focused on getting better. And I think the most difficult thing for me was when I had like 3 or 4 of the same sort of injuries, and you almost feel like you're broken. Sort of like you can get quite emotional with it, and almost feel like you're never going to be back, and you always sort of play with that fear of like breaking down again. And then when you start to hear fans get onto you about like giving you that idea that it's just always injury prone or stuff like that can be quite difficult to take. So yeah, no, that's definitely a tough one. And then
is there a pressure around fighting for contracts and being in a certain place in the group? And maybe not just, I suppose you can't really speak to other people's stories, but just from your perspective along your career, have you seen the toll that is taken on others around you as well?
Yeah, like obviously when people's contracts are starting to run out, which I didn't see too much in the top game, to be fair. They like to either like sell a player or very rarely did someone's contract sort of run out. So when I did see people playing for it did definitely create a bit more anxiety in a person's game, sort of thing. My contract was sort of running out as well, and it sort of puts a different type of pressure on you, in terms of like stress wise. But it's quite a hard one, really. It's sort of individual again in terms of like how everyone takes it, how cause everyone's individual like problems. Someone might be running out their contract because they're going onto a better team, or they might be like early in their career sort of thing and trying to get like a bigger deal sort of thing. So personally, when I sort of was running out of a contract, because it was only like one time I remember doing it, it was just almost like stressed you out, especially for being injured as well. You didn't really want that sort of thing to come. I think I went into my final year and I did my knee, which is my worst injury. So that like doubled down with the stress of the injury, to be honest. So that was quite a difficult time. But
sorry on that. What were you like at home? What were you like to be around at that point? Sorry, OC.
I don't know really. I feel when I'm not playing football or I'm not getting exercise, I'm definitely a different person. And I'm sure all the players are exactly the same. When we're not, especially when you're like playing games, if you're not playing games and you're missing out of them, it creates a bit of a void in terms of you need that fix almost to be going in and competing. So around home, you'll almost be a bit of a different person, or maybe a bit more frustrated, a bit more less patience, even with the kids and stuff. Like it definitely can affect you for that reason.
Listen. I've got two more, and I'll pass on. But question: Is it literally the best job in the world? Though? Is it like just playing football and training? And would you consider it to be the best job in the world?
For me, it was definitely like football is something that we all love so much, and if you manage to have a good career that I feel I did, and I overachieved, and I was so buzzing for that reason, then it gave me everything that I wanted. Like I got to have some unbelievable moments, some great memories that I've been able to share with my family and stuff, like my new family, with my kids, as well as my mum, my dad, my brothers and sisters. And it's brought so much to our family for that reason. So it definitely was the best job that I could have ever dreamed of, really.
Yeah, I love that answer. Final one. So it might not be the best question because you're saying that you're sort of just getting into the management piece and it's quite new to you. But from like a player's perspective, what kind of behaviour from parents do you think helps the child, and what do you think harms the child as well?
Just support, really. Obviously, you want to try and give them information, but not information all the time isn't like the best. And that's not because I'm not going to say like dads or other parents don't know sometimes like how football works, but sometimes they can give the wrong information sometimes. And it can be quite difficult. You don't want to be too much on them, because I do see some kids even now that whenever something happens, they're looking over at their parents to see like whether they're happy or sad with what they've done, sort of thing. So you can't be too involved that starts to be an effect, because where I led to earlier in terms of you don't want the kid to be doing it for yourself. They want to feel like they're doing it for their own enjoyment. Otherwise, but they're never going to go all the way because they have to feel like it's their own decision, it's their own journey. So that really.
Yeah. Note to self or note to everyone: stop living for your kids.
Mm-hmm. It's hard though because, like we all mentioned before, like it's the best thing, and everyone wants to, because we know how much it means to us. We want our kid to experience it and to go to be able to get somewhere that perhaps we wasn't able to get to. I do understand.
Yeah. Do you know what? I will hand over in a second, but do you know what? It's hard, because we've been playing football since knee high, and we love the game. So now I've got some friends now that listen. They love football, but their kids don't. Like their kids literally hate the sport.
Uh-huh.
So you think your kid loves the game, your kid's talented. Like I prefer watching my kids football than like watching my own team. Like so, there's something in it where naturally you're going to be emotive about it. You're going to be charged up, and you want to see them do well. But then there's a line where you need to like just say it's their game. I do enjoy it, but let me just have some perspective here, some context. Let them enjoy it and try and keep that separate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm probably very similar in terms of like I get so much enjoyment out of watching him play on a Sunday at the moment that even when the Sunday's over, you're almost waiting for next week straight away, sort of thing. It's like just wicked, especially when they do well on that. It's like you're buzzing for it. It's good.
Yeah. Thank you. Dej.
Yeah, thank you. And Dwight, thanks for being real, because I people say it's kids football. I say it's football. I love every minute of it. And for me, if I could extend the period, I would. But I know that the hourglass is counting down. Look, I've got 3 absolutely random questions. These are my random questions. So just play with me. But you know, you can answer them in 2 minutes. But you can when I send you the first one, you'll know where I'm going with this. Maybe let me start with the most sensible one, and then I'll get into the more kind of silly ones. Is there a plan to go into coaching, like in the adult game?
When I say plan, it's more of like a lot further down the line, maybe 10 years. I've got obviously young kids, 8, 7 and 4. And for me, I want to spend all my time with them. I love taking them to the clubs after school. I love spending time with them, like taking them to school and stuff like that. And like you said before, it's an hourglass. We haven't got a lot of time with them while they're young. And I'm sure they'll be the first ones to let you know when it's time to get out of their way and stuff like that. So I think coaching can be very hands-on, and it's something that I know that I would want to do like properly, because I think it's part of my makeup to proper go for things and to work hard. And I feel like I don't want to neglect sort of a coaching role sort of thing, because I think it's important to see people improve and stuff like that. And that's something I definitely would love to do at some point, but I think it's in the not too close future, to be honest.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, because time, you don't get that time back. So I love every minute. I love every minute of it. So I hear you. The next one is, what is it like being a pro and potentially playing against the team that you support or the team that you love? Like, I can't understand. You know, is there conflict, or you just get on with it? I can't imagine scoring a hat-trick against Spurs. It probably won't happen. I feel like I'm just banging bare on goals, to be honest, secretly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, what is that, do you know? How do you get that?
I don't know. So I had like 2 big moments really for me with that sort of, not mindset, but so the first time I played against Man United, like only the year before, I was sort of celebrating them win the league. And I remember it being in the pub, absolutely buzzing and that. So it was like, I think it was a year or 2 years before, I was just absolutely buzzing. And then I managed to play against at Old Trafford like 3 or 4 games into the season. And I remember Rooney having his little like bandage round West, like boots went in his head or something. Van Persie was there, and I was just in absolute awe, sort of thing. I was like, these are my legends and stuff. So I was buzzing. But in terms of like when you get out there, you just want to do the best. And then the other time was when Ronaldo came back. So Ronaldo came back, and it was his first game back against Newcastle.
Yeah.
And obviously, Ronaldo ended up being like the person that I supported more than even Man United. Like even when he went to Real Madrid, he was like, he's that the guy, and I loved Ronaldo. So when he came back to Man United, I was like, yeah, he's like just absolutely buzzing to be around that. But yeah, it was just sick for that reason. And then the fact that I managed to score against him at Old Trafford was just a really like sick moment for me. Just like to go there when I was younger and stuff, and then to be able to score there, it just felt like a bit of a dream. And I know you said you scored own goals, but I celebrated like I scored like anywhere else, sort of thing. And knee slide was buzzing. It was sick.
That's quality. That's quality, man.
And then the fact that I managed to score against him at Old Trafford was just a really like sick moment for me. Just like to go there when I was younger and stuff, and then to be able to score there, it just felt like a bit of a dream. And I know you said you scored own goals, but I celebrated like I scored like anywhere else, sort of thing. And knee slide was buzzing. It was sick.
That's quality. That's quality, man. Hey, mate, living the dream. Live the dream. I love that. I love that. And my last one, because of time, that's why I'm rushing. With everything that we've spoke about today, and that's talking about the profiles, the technicals, the time, the pairings, all of that. Can England win the World Cup?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's one of those things where I think there's a few teams who can win it, and if England don't win it, you always sort of say, "Oh, that they should have won it," or, but the odds of them being able to win it is still difficult because there's such other good teams, and football's always sort of inches, and a game can easily turn on its head with one little thing, sort of thing. And like even Gareth Southgate, like he done an unbelievable job, but he's seen as someone who's failed, even though there was plenty other managers that was expected to win from other countries as well. So like sometimes the England fan base can be a bit difficult with demanding absolute success is only winning the trophy, sort of thing. That's why I almost think of that as a tough job, because there's no way to get out of it with any credit. I don't think it's you always sort of expected to do like win it, otherwise you failed. So but I do think they're definitely a possibility. It'd be really nice for them to do it, obviously, because they've been so close over the last few years. They've got some great players that the manager's going to find it difficult to work out his exact system, but he's obviously a great manager, and I'm sure will definitely be to the later stages, and then that becomes a bit of a lucky one, really, whoever's best on their day and stuff like that. So it's going to be difficult, but it's definitely possible for me.
Respect. Thank you. I think Andrew's taken the last bit now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I normally have like one closing question, then it extended to two. Then I've just been thrown a question, and then when you spoke about a certain player, it reminded me of another question. So I apologise for going a bit long. But let's do them quick fire. So you and I share the same birthday. I touched on that earlier. And we were going good. I was liking Dwight Gayle. I was like, he's got so much good knowledge, experience. Good to have a good chat with like an experienced pro. And I thought, yeah, good coach, like this guy. Now I'm going to ask you this question. This may change the relationship a little bit. I feel like I know your answer, but I'm just going to throw it out there.
Don't you dare. There's only one winner, you sick man. Only
how do you
one
know the
winner.
question?
Because there's only one question, there's only one answer.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Dwight, I'm not going to answer then. I'm not going to answer.
Don't ask it, because you'll get the wrong answer you don't want.
Okay. All right. Let's exclude those two. If it's not those two, who would be your GOAT?
This is probably... I don't know. Do you know who I think... I don't know. Ronaldo would be up there. R9.
Yeah.
But someone that I think if them two didn't exist and this person would have carried on doing this, he'd be up there just because them two wouldn't be as good. But Neymar, I think he gets so underrated, and I think he'd have got a few Ballon d'Ors if those two weren't about, because some of the numbers he was absolutely unbelievable at Barcelona, and I think he would have been 3 Ballon d'Ors at least. I think just because he was so good.
Yeah.
But,
Injuries.
What about yourself?
No, I'm the King, R9, Dino. They're my guys. And
you say injuries, but he still scored probably 500 goals.
Who, R9?
No, Neymar.
Neymar. So the funny thing about Neymar, as we call him Nene in my house, like my son was going to be called Neymar, and my missus said he's not a legend, so you can't call him that. And one of my mates called his son Romario before, like this was years ago. And I was like, that's such a cool name. Like, it just stands alone. It doesn't have to be a footballer. But Neymar, I thought, was on that trajectory you just spoke of. But my missus said, don't do it because he's not a legend. And with all the injuries, him missing games for his sister's birthday and all of that, and the fact that my son's probably going to be a defender, it's probably best I didn't call him Neymar. But I agree with that. But Brazil all the way for me. And I think we would have fallen out had we done the modern GOATs. We're going to keep it moving on that front. So another question we have, and you're in your coaching journey now, but I know you said you kind of just got into it, but I think you can speak on this. One of the questions we like to ask our guests is, can you kind of weight the 4 footballing pillars? When we're talking about the technical, the tactical, the physical, and the psychological, like mental or social. Like, I think, given our conversation, you have some strong opinions on this.
Yeah.
Like, would you say they're all 25%, or would you weight it differently?
I'd say psychological is a big one.
Mm.
I'd say that you'd arguably say it's stronger, because I think ability-wise, everyone gets not to the same, but everyone can do the same thing with a ball by the time they're adults. You lot would be saying, "Oh, I can do this with a football. I can curl it here. I can do that," and you can. And the same with most semi-pro players are absolutely gifted, so gifted, and you'll be like, why are they not playing? And it all comes down to the sort of decision-making sort of thing, and being able to react to certain things, which I think the mind is like the biggest factor for that, and being able to make a mistake, but then still go get the ball, being able to sin of what just happened and know how it's going to develop next time, being able to, those things are, I think, so much more important. So I would definitely say that's a bit stronger than some of the other parts of it, to be honest.
So would we say, I'm trying to do even numbers here, so is that 50% for you?
I'd say 40%, then I'd say the other one's 20. Is that fair?
Right. Yeah, I think that's good maths. Yeah, that works. So that's Dwight Gayle's player. 40% psychological, 20% tactical, and the rest. Brilliant. I've got one last serious question, and then we go into our closing question. And this question, I guess, is just a bit of advice for parents now, direct advice, touching on what OC was speaking about. You've been there, the younger you. Do you have any advice for parents and players going through their academy journey now, like one or two nuggets for them?
Just to try to work on like developing your kids like these values. He's able to take failures. He's able to react to bad hardship. Not to listen to too much other parents' noise and stuff. Like that's the biggest thing. It's like a bit of a bubble where you listen to other people and you think that that's the norm, when there's a lot of the time people just talk and lie about things to make themselves look better, sort of thing, and you get sort of caught up in it. And it's always about your personal journey. Sometimes people think about other players. Like the other day, I was getting asked questions at a game where they're like, "Oh, like we think we're buying like another player in this position. What do you think we should do?" And I'm like, "There's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes the new player will come in and he might be a lot better than your son or whatever, but your son being around that level of player means that your son then progresses so quickly because he's around that sort of thing, that he then gets to a level that when he does get released, or even he might take over him or whatever, that might be the case, but say worst case scenario, he gets released, but he's at a level that is way past what he is at the moment, sort of thing, and you're complaining because he's just got past that. So if he sort of gets released now or leaves and he hasn't progressed, then he's sort of going to find it difficult to find a team. But this is how the kid's got to think as well. That's the sort of mindset you've got to give the person, that always look at why a situation makes it better for you to progress, why it's better for you to treat it correctly, sort of thing, if you can understand that. Always try to work it to make the person feel like they're going to strive to be better, strive to improve, strive to think of ways of developing other attributes to counter their strengths and stuff like that. I think that's important.
No, perfect. That's brilliant. That 40% sounds like it's creeping up to 50 to me, Dwight. I'll be honest with you. But brilliant. So, last question. We've asked you about 30 to 50 questions. I haven't been counting. And I'm sure if we had another 2 hours, we could ask you another 30 to 50. So promise us that you'll come back some way, maybe 2 years into your coaching journey. I think that would be a brilliant conversation as well. And with your boy and his journey as well. So, but before we get there, our closing question for you is, and before you answer this, you have to help us with the answer. It'll all make sense in a second. So now you've been on, now you've had this conversation. Who do you think, first of all, has got an hour and 40 minutes, and who do you think we should get on who we probably haven't had already? And before you answer that, you have to help us get that person on.
Have you had on Fitzhall?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
That would be a good one.
Yeah. Well, I'll take Fitzhall.
Or does he do coaching? No, I don't. Okay. Coaching wise. Because I was going to say, because his boy's in training, but coaching wise.
It could be either. It could be all. We don't mind any aspects of the journey.
I think of someone coaching.
I know Forbes is doing coaching right now. Don't know if you know Terrell Forbes. Someone, Mazzacariel told me to get him on. So,
yeah, let's go with, let's go with that.
Okay, so between you two, you can help get that on.
Might as well help with that, because I know that's his boy as well, so that'd be a good one.
All right, brilliant. Okay, thank you very much, Dwight. As OC touched on, as Deji's touched on, it's been a great conversation. I feel the energy in the room. I feel like you've shared some of this stuff I didn't know. I don't profess to know everything, but I think some of the insights you've shared have been brilliant and will help others. They've helped us on the pod as free footballing parents. So they're definitely going to help our listeners. So we appreciate you, appreciate your time and your honesty and your vulnerability as well. Guys, if you've enjoyed this conversation, I urge you to hit that subscribe button. I'm going to wait a second until you do. Thank you very much. Please hit the like, the notification. And if you can't leave a comment after this show, then I don't know. I don't think you can type. So please leave a comment, have a conversation. Dwight shared so much knowledge, probably challenge some of your beliefs as well. So it's good to have a conversation. Let's talk about it. And if you're listening on the audio feed, please leave a like and review. And guys, if you've stayed to what is now an hour and 50 minutes or so, we know you're true to this, but please introduce those that are new to this. We've been Ball at All Costs. He's been Dwight Gayle, and we're out.